Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. We live in prosaic times. Corporations market ever harder. Nonprofits market ever harder. Our government focuses on base allegations, while the people struggle to make ends meet. So, a few minutes to luxuriate in poetry's elevation might be of particular value now. Here are 7 poems that do that well. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. This poem has long been an anthem for people who dare deviate from the conventional. Its iconic status was reinforced when Scott Peck adapted it for the title of his book, The Road Less Traveled. Here is the poem's last stanza. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. By the way, in these poems where I'm not reading the entire poem, certainly just Google it and you will find it. This poem, of course, again, is called The Road Not Taken. The next poem is called The Leadened Eyed by Vachel Lindsay. This poem warns us to live boldly while one can. And this poem is quite short, so here it is in its entirety. Let not young souls be smothered out before they do quaint deeds and fully flaunt their pride. It is the world's one crime, its babes grow dull. Its poor are ox-like, limp and leaden-eyed. Not that they starve, but starve so dreamlessly. Not that they sow, but that they seldom reap. Not that they serve, but have no gods to serve. Not that they die, but that they die like sheep. Richard Cory by Edward Arlington Robinson. This poem derides image and materialism. Here is it in its entirety. Whenever Richard Cory went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman from soul to crown, clean-favored and imperially slim. And he was always quietly arrayed, and he was always human when he talked, but still he fluttered pulses when he said, "Good morning," and he glittered when he walked. And he was rich, yes, richer than a king, and admirably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought that he was everything, to make us wish that we were in his place. So on we worked, and waited for the light, and went without the meat, and cursed the bread. And Richard Cory, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head. Next, The Gods of the Copybook Headings by Rudyard Kipling. Copybooks were books of proverbs and maxims. The following 1919 poem warns of the dangers of wishful thinking and of both capitalism and socialism. The poem is long, so I'm not going to read it all here, but you can, again, just Google The Gods of the Copybook Headings to find it. But its last stanza is revelatory of its overall message, or at least part of its overall message, and includes the title of Aldous Huxley's 1932 classic book. And that after this is accomplished, and the brave new world begins, when all men are paid for existing, and no man must pay for his sins, as surely as water will wet us, as surely as fire will burn, the gods of the copybook headings with terror and slaughter return. The next poem is First Fig by Edna St. Vincent Millay. This poem, which I will read in full because it manages in just its few lines to drive home the tension between hard work's benefit and its liability. My candle burns at both ends. it will not last the night. But ah, my foes, and oh, my friends, it gives a lovely light. The next poem is Solitude by Edna Wheeler Wilcox. This poem reminds us of most people's insistence on our being upbeat. For example, in this stanza: rejoice, and men will seek you. Grieve, and they will turn and go. They want full measure of all your pleasure, but they do not need your woe. And finally, Elegy in a Country Graveyard by Thomas Gray. This is an ode to ordinary people, whom the poem describes as, quote, the madding crowd, which Thomas Hardy then uses as a title for his book, Far from the Madding Crowd. This stanza speaks to the emotional. Perhaps in this neglected spot is laid some heart once pregnant with celestial fire, hands that the rod of empire might have swayed, or awaked to ecstasy the living lyre. But knowledge to their eyes her ample page, rich with the spoils of time, did ne'er unroll. Chill penury repressed their noble rage, and froze the genial current of the soul. Of course, my poetry doesn't belong in such company, but this seems an opportune time to offer a very brief piece, just 45 words, that is relevant in our time of worry about nuclear aggressive Russia and North Korea. It's called Peace? ? Children sing for it. Preachers preach for it. Professors urge it. Media sells it. Always wise? But for war, the Brits would still tax, not represent. The South would still enchain. Nazis would still incinerate. ISIS would still incinerate. Peace with Kim? Peace with Putin? Thanks for watching. I'm Marty Nemko.